The marking of Matric exam scripts got underway across the country today. This follows delays in the 2020 academic year. More than 45,000 exam markers started combing through those papers under strict COVID-19 measures at compliance centres. Now, results are expected to be announced on the 23rd of February. Elijah Mhlanga is the Education Department spokesperson. He joins me now. Elijah, good evening. How did the first day go?
Good evening. The first day went very well. We did not encounter major challenges. I think it's because we haven't had the full complement of markers in our marking centers as yet. That will happen later in the week, but for now, those that are there, things went well. It's a smaller number of center managers and chief and senior markers who are there to make sure that everything is ready for everybody else when they finally come later in the week.
Well, we know that personal protective equipment is mandatory at these centres, and those markers that have a positive COVID-19 status will be charged with misconduct. That's what you said earlier in the week. But what's the plan if a transmittable case does happen for some reason to slip through all of this? Do we have the personnel to cover us on this?
Yes, our partnership with the Department of Health is very important, and it is in full force even in this instance, because we want to make sure that safety is a priority and the health of all the workers is of paramount importance. That's why we have made sure that very close to every center there will be a medical professional who will be available to make sure that they are in good health and that they comply with all the requirements that should be complied with. So we are going to make sure that they get assistance. Should someone test positive, the medical professionals will help us, but we have isolation rooms as well as isolation centers where if people have tested positive, they are going to be taken to, because we need to make sure that they get the help as quickly as possible that they need so that we are able to continue with the rest of the work. But what we are emphasizing here is compliance. All of them must comply. They must wear their masks, sanitize, wash hands, and social distance. Even during meals, we are encouraging them to use takeaway equipment, which will enable them to walk around and try to be as far away from each other as possible so that no one gets into trouble in terms of exposure to the virus. So all of those measures, if they were to be applied by everyone honestly, consistently, everyone should stay safe for the duration of the marking period.
Elijah, I'm wondering how this later than usual release of results affects those entering into tertiary education. That should be, or tertiary institutions, that indeed should be a concern.
Well, it shouldn't. Discussions took place. In fact, the Minister of Health the Minister of Higher Education also announced sometime last year that universities would start later than normal, especially for first years. It is because of this anomaly that has been brought on us by the coronavirus that has delayed things across sectors, affecting education even more. So that has been thought about. That's why we agreed on the date of the 22nd of February for the release and the collection of the statement of results on the 23rd, so that there is time for them to still approach universities, those that would have applied and been accepted. But we are doing this also making sure that the marking is not disrupted or interrupted so that we stay on schedule, because one day that we lose is going to affect the entire schedule, and we don't want to see that happening because it could impact negatively on the lives of the young people who worked so hard to write the exams and are looking forward to going to university this year.
On the question of schedules and calendars, Elijah, I suppose what's on the minds of many parents and pupils at the moment is the attendance at school in this academic year. Given the recently announced restrictions and the rise in COVID-19 cases, can we expect normal days at school this year, or is there likely to be rotational attendance for schools this year?
As is right, it looks like we'll continue with the rotational approach because it assisted us to reduce the infection rate in the country. Schools did not become super spreaders as some people had thought earlier. It helped a lot, but also what helped was the social distancing and, of course, making sure that every school has the basic resources that are required for it to be able to comply. So those things will need to continue. But now with this variant that is causing more problems, even among young people, we need to do even more, all of us, parents, education authorities, as well as ordinary South Africans, everywhere to make sure that we comply by wearing our masks. It's actually concerning that even now you still see people who are not wearing masks. It is those people that are really posing danger to everybody else. In school, we know that there's strict adherence because there are compliance officers who walk around making sure that everyone is obeying the rules.
Yeah, but just to recap very quickly here, so we can expect some rotational attendance at school. It wouldn't be a normal schooling hours this time around.
It will be difficult to have a normal school hour because that will mean a full capacity in every school, and that we can't afford right now because we still need to comply with the social distancing requirements. So we need to make sure that we do everything that we can to save lives while we're getting the academic program to move on.
Well, thanks very much indeed. The education spokesman, Elijah Mhlanga.